Chat, I've came across a major company conspiracy and I have a paper trail to prove it. All right, so there it is, the unannounced Freud. Now let's talk about the unannounced Freud. Can we talk about the unannounced Freud, please, chat? I've been dying to talk about the unannounced Freud all day long, okay? Unannounced Freud. This name keeps coming up over and over again. Every day I check out the job list and there it is, unannounced Freud, unannounced Freud. Dig into the LinkedIn and everyone's working on the unannounced project. So I say to myself, I gotta find what this is. I gotta march up to Arena and ask them point blank, what is the unannounced project? Otherwise, I'm stuck here waiting for updates that are never coming. So I go up to the design team's office and what do I find out, chat? What do I find out? There is no unannounced project. The project does not exist, okay? So I decide, oh shit, buddy, I gotta dig a little deeper. No unannounced project. You gotta be kidding me. I got YouTube videos full of unannounced projects. So I march my way down to ArenaNet and I knock on the door and say, hey, Net. I gotta talk to you about the unannounced project. And when I open the door, what do I find? There's not a single goddamn desk in that office. There is no people on the unannounced project. What? How the people in the studio have been made up? This whole company is a goddamn ghost town. All right, Darren, so I gotta stop you right there. Not only does the unannounced project exist, but it's all the community is talking about. Every forum, every Reddit thread, hell, even the YouTube comments, they're all saying Guild Wars 3 is coming, Guild Wars 3 is doomed. The people are freaking out, man. They're saying it's over. Oh, calm down, because there's one thing that's not gonna happen. Guild Wars 2 is not gonna get abandoned. It's not? Because Guild Wars 2 has already been abandoned. About 3 days ago, I started checking out for patch up, small content, all reused, full of bugs, and then I noticed something even weirder. The devs are even delaying the next expansion in priority of the unannounced project. And what do you think all that effort is going? Straight into Guild Wars 3. Alright guys, in here we have all of the evidence for the entirety of the unannounced project from the start until the end, why it happened, what happened before it, what's probably gonna happen afterwards, and you know, we're gonna explain through everything, okay? So subscribe to the channel for more content like this, go to my Ko-Fi if you want more content, go to my Twitch to watch me live, and let's get into it. So, where does it start? I didn't think this through. It starts with Guild Wars 2 near-death experience. Guild Wars 2 was a game that was very popular, but it never did as well as it wanted it to. They were trying to kill WoW, they never were able to do it. Their systems of paid expansion into free DLC was just not working, not making them enough money. It was just not good enough. So much so that back in Living World Season 4, Arena told their employees that they should make the story as if it would actually end there. Leave it open in case it doesn't get cancelled, but there was a high possibility of the game being over right there and then. Following this, there was an insane amount of layoffs, making the game essentially dead for a big amount of time. But then ArenaNet or Ensoft, we don't really know, decided to try once more. And they went in and did the Iceroot Saga, a way of continuing the game and giving everything an expansion will give, but yearly with less of an investment in terms of the amount of money they're spending and time they spent making it. This was a good idea. And even though it was kind of popular, it didn't really make that much money, as all this content was free for people playing the game. So how are they gonna make money? This was such a disaster that Ensoft essentially forced ArenaNet to cancel Iceroot Saga, leading us to Champions, one of the worst patches in Guild Wars 2's history. This patch made wooden potato squids. That's how bad it was. NCSoft decides, no, we're not doing this anymore. You're doing an expansion, you're gonna make money, gonna continue Guild Wars 2, and that's when End of Dragons came out. Guild Wars 2's Comback. This was a very big expansion. EOD made a lot of money. Everybody bought it, everyone liked it, and it seemed like it was finally, Guild Wars 2 was coming back. But then something weird happened. With all this money, they decided to do something different. They decided to do the tunnel. No, I'm just kidding. They decided to not go for an expansion, not even a new season. They went for Living World Season 1. Easy content to make, recycled from back in the day, not a bad idea for new players, but did kill a lot of the hype. It was a year of just waiting, and even more after. And at the same time, we got the first evidence of the unannounced project. They were starting to get listings for this specific project. You can go check my other video where I lay out all the evidence we have for this, but I'm just gonna summarize it here with the listings started at this moment, and they gave us this. They were searching for people with MMORPG experience. It was gonna be a previously known IP game, a console PC, online, in Unreal Engine 5 game that reused assets from Guild Wars 2. Literally just after End of Dragons comes out. They make a lot of money. And they start hiring for this big unannounced project? Coincidence? I don't think so, guys. But surely, if they wanted to continue with Guild Wars 2 and all of that investment, they would get an expansion after a whole year of nothing, right? A big one, just like EOD, right? They decided to not make a normal new expansion DLC, but instead a mini expansions every year. This is good because the game was not marking out correctly before either. This will provide a new content schedule that will be having less uncertainty, supposedly the same amount of content, less broken promises that they can't deliver, like alliances. And well, the new Secrets of the Obscure expansion was very exciting. Maybe it could bring Guild Wars 2 back, right? We had a lot of interesting things. Elite specialization weapons going to every other specialization, new weapons, new relics instead of runes, a huge overhaul, essentially the entire system, but it didn't give that much content. Only 2 strikes, 1 fractal, not even on release, and only 2 maps at the start, and then slowly getting in there at the new weapons that were not going to come in until very late. The Wizard's Vault system was very good. It made all of Guild Wars relevant, but overall, it just wasn't that much. Even less what we've gotten in a Living War season. And didn't even get elite specs at the end of the day. People were getting a bit scared. But surely the new releases will be better, right? Right? Inner Naos was not good. People did not like it. There was not that much of an amount of content. The map was uninspired, the bosses were not good, the story was even worse, and the quantity of content was also not that good. It's not a lot. It felt like it was all the bare minimum to satisfy us, and their used assets did not help. The same thing happened with Janther Wilds. He had a lot of cool potential. Homesteads, of course, new weapons, which actually were very good, no content at all. One meta boss ended up going for the story, the open world, conversions, and the raid as well. Everything reused over and over again. There was just nothing good about this expansion. Or was it? There was one thing that was good about the expansions every time. The systems. The systems in these expansions were very good. They started putting a lot of effort into them. They was both giving us a great way of actually engaging with the content that we already have in the game to make the game more meaningful and complete. The boon system was reworked to make it a bit easier for people to form groups together, making it way more structured. Some people might disagree with this, but Guild Wars 2 had a lot of issues for a long time before this. They started working on alliances again. That didn't work out very well, but they did try, and they're still trying their best on it. Homesteads were absolutely great as well, even though they're kind of a rehash from the guild system. They work pretty nicely, and they have a lot of good ideas. The reward structures from the entire game were also polished. Every type of system was getting reworked. They also set up multiple events for moments in between releases, like festivals, way more rewards for each of them so people can do something in between releases. All the rush systems that might need a little bit of work, but they are there for the same reason. And not only there was a lot of effort put into these things, but also a lot of iteration on it. Every one of these expansions seemed like they have a focus on systems instead of content. Systems that create content from themselves. But why are they doing this? Yes, it gives relevance to the game, it gives longevity to the game, but only if you get a good amount of content with it. All the systems are not going to keep people engaged, and honestly, something like War vs. World didn't really need fixing as much. It was probably okay the way it was, and alliances didn't really make it better. A lot of people in the community didn't like the boon changes either. There's a lot of things here that people didn't like, even though it was good for the longevity of the game. Why make people mad with these changes while not giving them enough content, while at the same time concentrating on your next game? Why are they delaying an expansion for 2 months for Guild Wars 2 while you're also making the unannounced project? I'm sorry, but this amount of content we're getting in Guild Wars 2 is not something a full developing team should be giving us. It should be way more. And even then, delaying it as well, considering the unannounced project is more important than your main game to be delayed. This is just, it's so obvious that the priority is not Guild Wars 2 anymore, and it is the unannounced project. might as well go for content that you can actually buy. Keep the people that are playing the game happy, continuously spending, and pretend like the next game is not coming. How does this all tie out? How does this make sense at all? It leads to one thing. They're trying to make the system work to keep Guild Wars 2 going while they're making the next game with minimal effort. Maintaining the game healthy, doing gemstone items to keep people engaged and save up money while at the same time doing the best to win money. I'm looking at you, Bikini. Festivals are honestly so important in terms of this scheduled content they have now. They're really trying their best to be like, hey guys, we're getting this festival, and we're getting this other rush, and then this other festival, and then we're getting the content, and next festival, always something happening. And all these little things keep people engaged, even though it's the same content we've done for so long. But there's one more thing. Why would they be focusing on systems instead of content? Why would they be doing all these things to keep Guild Wars 2 intact and kind of making relevant in terms of systems, but at the same time doing an entire unannounced project that is obviously taking a toll on them? Considering the fact that Guild Wars 2 is getting the short end of the stick here, it doesn't make sense. If you want to make money on Guild Wars 2 while you're creating your next game, why are you concentrating on these systems? Don't really give you that much money. Well, if you're gonna do Guild Wars 3, probably you would go for a similar game to Guild Wars 2. You don't want to alienate your audience. The Guild Wars 2 formula works. It's just the game needs a refreshment, excitement, and nobody wants to play a 10-plus-year-old MMO. They want to put all the systems into Guild Wars 3. And the systems look very much like something you would want to have in your next MMORPG. There was a Vote, the new boon system, alliances, push. Why did they do push, guys? Reward structures, all these things that fix core problems of Guild Wars 2 has had for years that you can put inside of your new game to test it, check it, how people respond, how people use it, and then boom, you put it in your game. Whenever you actually release your new game, all of the systems can be there ready to go. Path of Exile 1 tested this, a new features in PoE 1 that became main features of PoE 2. They had no currency exchange until Settlers League, and boom, that's a main feature in PoE 2. Tested it and implemented it into the sequel. That's not the only thing that PoE 1 has in common with the Guild Wars 2. The game has a lot of problems. The people that played it liked those problems. And in PoE 2, a lot of those veterans did not like the solutions to them. And just like Guild Wars 2, reward system, Warriors Wall, PP, and so on and so on. Making a new game makes people be able to have the new game with the new systems that are fixed, while also having the old games for the veterans to keep playing with. And guess what? They're going to be able to play it because all the systems that they were developed during these years to keep the game exciting, even if they don't release any content. And if Guild Wars 3, for example, fails, they can always come back to Guild Wars 2 and continue there. And honestly, I think there's a big possibility that they actually continue with Guild Wars 2 once Guild Wars 3 is released. There's a reason why Colin Johansson, the person that said that they regretted abandoning Guild Wars 1 when Guild Wars 2 was released, is coming back, well, came back 4 years ago into Guild Wars 2 development. And let's be real, technically they are kind of right now developing Guild Wars 3 and Guild Wars 2 at the same time. Guild Wars 3, the unannounced project, and Guild Wars 2, well, the content we're getting now. Honestly, if you think about it that way, the amount of content we're getting right now is pretty good. So hopefully they will continue this way after Guild Wars 3 is actually released. One of the biggest reasons why I didn't believe in Guild Wars 3 was because of the fact that why would they put this much effort into a game they were going to abandon? Well, this explains it all. And I think this is exactly how they're going to do it. And been doing this entire time, using Guild Wars 2 as a test ground to make money while also testing their new systems for their next game. Seeing how people react to each of these things we get, and I'm going to guess that that's what it's going to be. Guild Wars 3 is going to be a Guild Wars 2 upgraded to a new engine with more content, but also new systems implemented in a perfect way. Yes, we will lose our characters, we're going to have to start over, but it's going to be something very similar. And the best part is that they can continue Guild Wars 2 even if they announce Guild Wars 3, if they want to. I mean, guys, why would they release the Wizard starter kit room randomly in one random patch for no reason, just to look at it? Oh, they're gonna use it as a new House of Monuments place. They most likely will use for people to go in to check their new legendaries and then transfer them into a title, an achievement, maybe a skin, for Guild Wars 3. We're probably gonna get some system of this, just like Guild Wars 1 had with Guild Wars 2. At the end of the day, it all makes sense. Guild Wars 2 was not working correctly from the start. It was not enough to keep the game going and make enough money to continuously develop it. The new system, like IBS, did not work either. They make a lot of money with EOD. They start instantly doing the unannounced projects. We get a new type of content that lets them have more wiggle room to develop things. The unannounced projects, we get less content, but all the systems, very well done. All the systems create content out of themselves so they can keep developing their unannounced projects, and they start setting up systems like Legendary Starter Kit, like the room. From those circuits, we can eventually use to get some sort of household monument system to keep playing Guild Wars 2 while waiting for Guild Wars 3. And I'm guessing this expansion, this incoming expansion, or the next one after that, is going to be the expansion that puts all the systems to get us ready to keep playing Guild Wars 2 while waiting for Guild Wars 3. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I love Guild Wars 2. But at the end of the day, they have decided this for a long time. And at this point, I'm nothing but excited for Guild Wars 3. The game, Guild Wars 2, is something great. And I would hate to see it just be forgotten. You have to move on eventually. And honestly, if Guild Wars 2 came out today, everybody would play it. It would be the most important MMO in the entire scene. But because it's an old game, nobody wants to go into an old MMO that everyone knows exactly how everything works and just start over when everyone has so much more progress. That's why Guild Wars 3 must happen. To replicate Guild Wars 2 in the good things, minus the bad things that veterans like me and probably you are accustomed to, but they're not healthy for the game. And then boom, we have Guild Wars 2 being played by everyone, being known by everyone, just with a little 3 at the end. And I'm sure we're going to get a lot of progress from our normal accounts that we have right now into that game. So don't stop playing it. And even then, it's a video game. I love Guild Wars 2 and I'm going to continue to play it regardless. There's one last thing I want to talk about that I didn't want to talk about before because I think the entire story kind of holds itself without this information. But in between Seekers of the Obscure and Jantha Wilds, like a year ago, a little bit more than that, ArenaNet, well, NCSoft actually, leaked that Guild Wars 3 was in some sort of production. ArenaNet has meaningful IP called Guild Wars, and he went through Guild Wars 2 and is now making Guild Wars 3. This was on a meeting, financial call with NCSoft, and they leaked this in Korean, I think. And after that, they kind of backed up their statement saying that the Guild Wars 3 project is in the review stage and the start of the development has not been finalized. But personally, I don't really believe them that much. You can choose your own, you can choose whatever you believe here yourself. But personally, I don't really believe them as NCSoft. It's not like the most trustful company ever. And this story doesn't mean anything. Yeah, development hasn't been finalized, I guess. But at the end of the day, they have been hiring this for over like, what, 3 years anyway. So like, is it really that, like, am I really gonna believe this part that it's not even approved? Like, I don't know. I personally don't really believe it. But and what is the other choice that the other possibility that they're making they're trying to approve Guild Wars 3 to start the development on it while they're doing an add-on project that is also an MMO at the same time? No, I personally don't really believe this. But you know, I wanted to mention it at the end just so you guys can decide on your own. That's about it, guys. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me if you agree with me. Tell me if you disagree with me. And yeah, let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support my content. Go to my Twitch, watch me live every morning. See you guys around. Love you all. Bye-bye.